What would happen if aliens landed on Earth? For centuries, humanity has looked up at the stars and wondered, are we alone in the universe? Stories of extraterrestrial visitors have filled our myths, books, and films. But what if, one day, the question was answered not by imagination, but by reality? What if aliens actually landed on Earth? The consequences would ripple across science, politics, culture, and even the very meaning of being human. The first moments of alien arrival would be filled with shock and disbelief. Whether it happened in a quiet field, a crowded city, or above the skies of a major capital, the sight of an extraterrestrial craft would be unlike anything we have ever experienced. News would spread instantly, carried by phones, cameras, and global media. Governments would scramble to respond, scientists would rush to analyze, and billions of people would watch in awe and fear as history unfolded before their eyes. How humanity reacted would depend largely on how the aliens presented themselves. If they arrived peacefully, with no signs of hostility, leaders might attempt communication. Diplomats, linguists, and scientists would be called upon to bridge the gap between species. Messages of unity would echo across the globe, as people realized that for the first time in history, humanity was no longer alone. But if the arrival appeared threatening, massive ships hovering in silence, strange technologies scanning the planet, fear could turn quickly to panic. Militaries would prepare for defense, and the possibility of conflict would loom. Communication would be one of the greatest challenges. Alien languages, if they exist, may have nothing in common with human speech. They might use mathematics, visuals, or even forms of communication beyond our senses. Scientists would attempt to find common ground, likely beginning with universal concepts like numbers, patterns, or chemical structures. Every attempt to understand would be a step into the unknown. Success could open the door to cooperation, while failure might lead to confusion or mistrust. If the aliens came in peace, the potential for knowledge exchange would be staggering. Technology, medicine, and science could leap forward by centuries or even millennia in an instant. Diseases that plague humanity might be cured with alien knowledge. Energy shortages could end with advanced power sources. Space travel might become commonplace if aliens shared the secrets of faster-than-light propulsion. For the first time, humanity could step into a larger cosmic community, joining other civilizations among the stars. But such gifts could also create problems. If alien technology was shared unevenly, some nations might gain immense power, destabilizing the global balance. Rivalries could intensify, with governments racing to control or weaponize alien knowledge. A peaceful arrival could still spark conflict among humans, not because of the aliens, but because of how we respond to them. History shows that humanity often struggles to cooperate, even among itself. Whether we could unite in the face of extraterrestrials remains uncertain. Religion and philosophy would also be profoundly affected. For millennia, human belief systems have centered on Earth as the stage of creation and humanity as its central actors. The arrival of aliens would challenge these views. Some might see it as proof of divine design, expanding their faith to include other worlds. Others might see it as evidence that humanity is not unique, forcing religions to adapt or fracture. Philosophers would ask what it means to be human in a universe where we are no longer alone. The landing of aliens would not only be a scientific event, but a spiritual one, shaking the foundations of identity and belief. On a cultural level, the presence of aliens would transform art, music, and storytelling. Films and books would no longer speculate about extraterrestrials. They would reflect real encounters. Humanity's myths would expand to include new symbols inspired by the realities of alien life. At the same time, fear and uncertainty could dominate culture, with people struggling to make sense of beings whose motives and intentions remain unknown. Economically, the impact would be enormous. Stock markets might crash at the moment of arrival, driven by fear of instability. But if peaceful contact was established, new industries could emerge, fueled by alien knowledge. Trade might not only be between nations, but between worlds. Humanity could gain access to resources, technologies, and ideas far beyond our current imagination. The global economy could either collapse or skyrocket, depending on how humanity managed the new relationship. Politically, The landing of aliens could force nations to cooperate in ways never seen before. The United Nations or a new global council might take the lead in negotiations, representing Earth as a single voice. Old conflicts could seem trivial in the face of a new reality, with humanity uniting against common uncertainty. On the other hand, rival nations might compete to control alien contact, hoarding information and technology. The landing could either bring about global unity or deepen divisions, depending on human choices. If the aliens arrived with hostile intentions, the situation would be far more dire. Humanity's weapons, advanced as they are, might be useless against extraterrestrial technology. The arrival could quickly turn into invasion, with cities destroyed and populations enslaved. Resistance movements might form, but the outcome would be uncertain. Some scientists argue that if aliens can travel across the stars, they would be so advanced that humanity would stand little chance in open conflict. In such a scenario, survival might depend on diplomacy, adaptation, or even submission. Yet it is also possible that aliens might not be hostile or benevolent, but indifferent. They could see Earth as a place to study, harvest, or simply pass by with little concern for humanity. In this case, we might be more like animals in a zoo, observed but not truly engaged. This would raise new questions. Do we matter in the eyes of advanced civilizations? Are we ready to prove our worth? Or would we be dismissed as insignificant? Even if aliens came peacefully, the psychological impact would be immense. Ordinary people might feel fear, AEW, or even despair at the realization that we are not alone. Conspiracy theories, cults, and social unrest could emerge. Governments would struggle to maintain order, balancing transparency with the fear of mass panic. The landing of aliens would not just be a scientific event, but a test of humanity's emotional and social resilience. Over time, the presence of aliens on Earth could become normalized. What begins as shock might evolve into routine. Just as humans adapted to airplanes, the internet, and space travel, we might adapt to living in a universe shared with other beings. Cultural exchange could enrich both sides, leading to cooperation in science, art, and exploration. Humanity might learn to see itself not as a collection of divided nations, but as a single species, part of a galactic community. Ultimately, what happens if aliens land on Earth depends less on them and more on us. Will we respond with fear or curiosity? With division or unity? Will we seek war or peace, exploitation or cooperation? The landing of extraterrestrials would be the greatest event in human history, but its outcome would be shaped by human choices. In the end, the arrival of aliens would change everything. Our science, our culture, our religions, our politics, and our understanding of who we are. It would challenge us to look beyond ourselves, to redefine humanity in a universe larger and stranger than we ever imagined. Whether it brought chaos or enlightenment, destruction or discovery, one thing is certain. If aliens landed on Earth, life would never be the same again.